Are you trying to lose weight on a GLP-1 and still not sure what to eat, how to move, or which habits actually lead to success? In this video, I'm sharing 11 simple rules that made my GLP-1 journey work, that helped me lose 125 pounds and keep it off. If you're new here, I'm Megan. I've lost 125 pounds with the help of compounded tirzepatide and a whole lot of hard work. I started in August 2023, weighing 243 pounds. It took me 10 months to lose 100 pounds and 5 more months to lose an additional 25 pounds. I've been maintaining my weight right around 118 pounds for over a year now. What I've learned is that this medication isn't magic. It quiets the food noise and slows down the brain so that you can actually put in the work. And despite all the noise out there, that work is built on simple, consistent habits. I talk a lot about mindset and habits here on this channel because those small habits make a big difference. So make sure you hit subscribe and stick around till the end of the video because the last rule I'm sharing is the most important one. I hate to do that to you, but it's something I haven't heard many people talk about, and I think it's the missing piece for a lot of us. It just might be the one that changes everything for you. So let's get into it. Rule number 1 is to prioritize protein. Protein keeps you full longer, helps you build and maintain muscle when combined with strength training, and supports your metabolism, especially as you're losing weight. On a GLP-1, your appetite might be suppressed, and it's easy to eat too little overall, and that can cause muscle loss. So even if you're not tracking every gram, which I do not, I'm not somebody who tracks every meal and enters everything that I'm eating all the time into a nutrition tracker, but what you can do is try to build every meal around protein. Include a protein source at every meal. Eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, fish, protein shakes, whatever works for your life. I like to think of protein as the anchor for my meals and even my snacks. I choose my protein and then build everything around it. I choose my veggies, carbs, sauces, all of those things complement the protein. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just focus on progress and making protein a priority. Rule number 2 is to eat like a normal person. When I first started this journey, my eating was so disordered, I had no idea what it meant to even eat like a normal person. I would skip breakfast. I would clean my kids' plate for my lunch. Then I would go into the afternoon and eating chocolate, treat myself to fast food before I go out to dinner, and usually finish the night with snacks and ice cream. Having a GLP-1 in my brain helped break that cycle. With the food noise gone, I could think rationally. I could think, you know what? Normal people who maintain a healthy weight effortlessly. I happen to have a husband who's one of these weird people, and these people eat when they're hungry. They don't eat when they're not hungry. They eat 3 meals a day. They wake up hungry and eat breakfast. They get a little hungry around noontime. They eat lunch. They might eat a snack in the afternoon, and then they eat dinner. Once my brain was quiet when I had the GLP-1 on board, I wasn't thinking about McDonald's every time I drove past one. I wasn't planning my next meal while I was finishing the one I was eating. For the first time, I could actually tell myself, hey, I'm going to eat 3 meals a day, and I could stick to it. Now, in the beginning, when my appetite was super suppressed, those meals might be pretty small. It might be just a yogurt bowl or a protein shake. But starting out by eating 3 meals a day gave me the structure that I needed to start eating like a normal person. Now, I do have a rule that I don't eat if I'm not hungry. So if I need to skip a meal, I do. But because I have that GLP-1 on board, I know that that's not going to compound into binge eating later because I have another meal on my schedule and I can look forward to eating at that meal. I have the freedom to have a snack if I need to. So this rule isn't as much about restricting food, but more about giving yourself permission to eat 3 meals a day, which I think is something that probably a lot of us who have struggled with obesity and been on crash diets and tried every fad out there have struggled with for many years. And it feels almost weird to eat 3 meals a day. So it's not about restricting yourself to those 3 meals. It's just about learning a normal rhythm with food and listening to your hunger cues and giving yourself permission to honor your body when those cues are popping up. It's about learning to eat in a way that is calm, predictable, and sustainable. Rule number 3 is to increase your NEAT, to find ways to move throughout the day. I know you'll hear so much advice about getting out there and strength training right away. Now, strength training is important. I do enjoy having muscles, but I think it's a mistake to think about exercise in that 1 hour a day that you might spend at the gym. Your body actually burns way more calories from all the little movements you do throughout the day outside of those workouts. Walking, standing, playing with your kids, cleaning, taking the stairs. So if we can find ways to increase our movement throughout the day, we are winning. So what that looks like for me is that I always park at the back of the parking lot. I always take the stairs, even if I'm on a cruise on the 11th floor or at a hotel on the 6th floor. Especially as a busy mom with young kids, I don't always have an hour or two to dedicate to working out every single day. But what I do have is small pockets throughout the day where I can increase my movement. I used to spend so much time sitting on the couch or laying down, and now I'm moving every chance I get. That might look a little weird. I might be standing in the kitchen waiting for my food to cook, doing squats. I might be reading to my kids during lunch and pacing the length of our living room. Those small movements don't seem like much, but they really do add up, especially when so many of us are starting from a place of complete inactivity. Figuring out a workout plan and how to build muscle can be so daunting. When I started, I was 243 pounds, and just taking a walk outside was hard. I couldn't even tie my own shoes. If you can relate to that at all, this rule is for you, that you don't have to go and do some big thing. You can do a lot of little things throughout the day, and it makes a big difference. Rule number 4 is to detach from the scale. The scale is just a tool. It's not a report card. It doesn't tell your worth, your effort, or your progress in real time. I actually do weigh myself every single day, and I have for the past 2.5 years. Not because I'm obsessed with a number, but because it helps me see patterns instead of panicking over one time where my weight goes up. When you weigh daily, you start to understand the things that affect your weight. You start to understand that your weight naturally goes up and down. You start to understand that things like salt and where you are in your cycle, how much water you're drinking, and if you got a good night's sleep, all of those things can affect your weight. And that has nothing to do with how much fat you're actually losing. On a GLP-1, that fluctuation in weight can be really frustrating. Some weeks the scale barely moves, but your clothes might feel differently or your face looks thinner. And those are wins too. So instead of letting the scale control your emotions, use it as data. Step on the scale, look at the number, and move on. The real progress is happening in the habits you're repeating every single day, not in what the scale says on one particular morning. Rule number 5 is to celebrate your daily wins. Weight loss takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. If you're only looking at that number on the scale, you will miss so many amazing things that are happening along the way. I made it a habit to look at these small wins, these small victories that happened on a daily basis, and jot them down on a note in my phone. Things like being able to walk up the stairs without getting out of breath, waking up and actually getting out of bed refreshed instead of laying in bed for an hour or two, drinking water and hydrating, or just feeling proud that I made good food choices. These little moments matter because they keep you motivated, especially when the scale isn't moving. They are proof that your efforts are working, even if the results aren't visible yet. So write them down, say them out loud, share it with a friend, train your brain to see progress everywhere in every part of your life, not just in the pounds lost. Those daily wins are what will keep you going long term. Rule number 6 is to find ways to have active fun. We know that exercise doesn't have to mean a gym membership or a strict workout plan. Some of us are starting at a point where that seems so far off, and that is okay. When you're focused on fat loss, you do not need to be focused on building muscle at the same time. But finding ways to have active fun, things like hiking with friends, picking up pickleball, which is a hobby of mine, dancing in the kitchen, going on family walks after dinner, anything that gets your body moving and makes you happy. I used to meet friends for coffee. Even though I'm not a coffee drinker, I would get a chai, tea, or some other sort of tea. But instead of doing that or going out to dinner with friends, I invite friends for a hike. Especially as a mom with young kids, I don't get a lot of one-on-one time with friends. And going on a hike gives us hours of conversation that is something that's so special and I cherish now that I didn't have before. Same with my husband. Our house is always busy and crazy, and we can go on a walk and get 15 to 20 minutes of conversation that we could never have by staying inside this crazy house. Finding a hobby like pickleball or something you really enjoy and want to do more and more of is really awesome too, because once I got into pickleball, then my husband got into it. Now my kids are into it, and it's a family activity that we can do all together. together, we meet new people and have relationships with people that we never would have known before from all walks of life. And it's just a really fun thing to do where I'm moving my body, stretching my body, trying to grow it in different ways, learning new skills. And it's even better because I can do it with my husband and family. When movement becomes part of how you connect with yourself, with friends, with family, it really stops feeling like a chore and feeling like something you want more of in your life. Rule number 7 is to handle your emotions. Now, this one might be the hardest one of all because for so many of us, food has been our coping mechanism for so many years. We eat when we're stressed, when we're sad, when we're happy, when we're celebrating, when we're bored. It's comforting. And while it might work in the moment, it keeps us stuck. For me, a lot of my emotional eating came from a place where I thought I deserved it. I thought I'm working so hard as a busy mom of 3, taking care of my family and cooking for my family, that I deserved a treat. I deserved something to make myself feel better. I felt like I earned it. But what I was really craving wasn't the food. And the food would make me happy for a moment, but as soon as I was done, I was back in the same place where I started. What I truly needed was self-care, the real kind of self-care, taking care of my whole self, the kind that restores you instead of numbs you. One of the biggest gifts of being on a GLP-1 was realizing how much of my eating wasn't about hunger at all. Once that food noise was quiet, I could finally tell the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. And that awareness changed everything. So now when those feelings come up, I try something else first. I take a walk, I call my mom, I sit outside or do something creative. Sometimes I allow myself to just feel the feeling without fixing it with food. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to take care of your whole self. When you start giving yourself the care you actually need, food stops having to fill that role. Rule number 8 is to be boring. I know that doesn't sound very exciting, but this might be one of the most important parts of long-term success. Losing weight and keeping it off requires consistency. And consistency is, honestly, kind of boring. Most of my meals look pretty similar day to day and week to week. I wake up every day and start the day the exact same way with a walk. I strength train several times a week using progressive overload, which means I'm doing the same workouts, the same moves, multiple weeks in a row to build muscle. It's not flashy, but it works. That's how habits are built and that's how results are maintained. I see people doing challenges all the time. Walking challenges, squat challenges, plank challenges, you name it, there's a challenge for it. And while those can be fun and motivating for a short season, they're often temporary wins. Once the challenge ends, your motivation drops off and you're right back where you started. So instead of chasing the next 30-day fix, maybe invest that energy into building habits that you can actually live with, the things you'll want to do 6 months from now, even 6 years from now. Being boring doesn't mean being stuck. It means being steady. It's learning to love the rhythm of showing up for yourself every day, even when it's not exciting. And that's where the magic really happens. Rule number 9 is to practice eating at restaurants and parties and social events. For a long time, I avoided eating out because I didn't trust myself. I was trying to break those old habits and lean into this new life that I wanted to live. I thought I had to stay in control by only eating food I made at home. But the truth is, you don't get better at something by avoiding it. You get better by practicing. So now I see every restaurant meal, every party where there's food, every holiday, every social event as an opportunity to practice eating in the real world. I pay attention to how the food makes me feel. I pay attention to my hunger and fullness cues. I focus on enjoying the experience without going overboard. On a GLP-1, you'll probably notice that it's easier to slow down and make mindful choices. You actually have space between the thought and the action. Whereas before, I might go to a holiday party and fill my plate and eat every single thing on my plate. Now I have a GLP-1 on board and it allows me to mindfully choose what I actually like. I love brownies. So if I see a brownie, I'm probably going to try it, but that doesn't mean I have to eat the entire brownie. I might take one bite and be satisfied. I might be hungry enough to eat the entire brownie, but the key is slowing down enough to listen to my body and allow my brain and my body to work together to make the decision that's right for me in that time. These practice sessions with food are the perfect opportunity to learn what moderation looks like for you. Now, I know there's a trend where some people want to skip their shot before a vacation or before the holidays so that they can enjoy it more. I personally would never do that. I want to take my shot before the holidays or before my vacation because I need my brain to be normal. And the GLP-1 does that for me. With a quiet brain, I can think clearly, stay present, and practice the decision making that leads to lasting success. When I go out, I don't restrict or save up calories or plan to work it off later. I just eat my regular meals, enjoy the event, and then move on. Sometimes I do still overeat. I take that as information and data and use it to learn for next time. Again, the goal isn't perfection. It's gaining confidence and trusting your body. It's learning how to live your real life in the real world and still stay aligned with your goals. Number 10 is to have small daily goals. Big goals are exciting, but they can also be overwhelming. When I started this journey, I was not focused on losing 125 pounds. Honestly, the thought of doing that never once crossed my mind. I focused on doing small things that I could control every single day. My very first goal was to put my walking shoes out before I went to bed at night because I knew that if I put my walking shoes out, I increased my chances exponentially of waking up in the morning and putting on those shoes so that I could walk out the door and take a walk. Old me would wake up, lay in bed, scrolling for an hour, maybe two. I had no motivation to do anything. It just didn't seem to matter. But once I started this weight loss journey, those shoes and that small habit made all the difference. They got me up and out of bed and moving hours earlier than I had been before. I started stacking small habits upon small habits. Once I had my shoes on, right before I walked out of the door, I would drink a full glass of 30 ounces of water. I'm somebody who rarely drank water before, and adding this habit into my morning routine allowed me to start hydrating myself in a way that made me feel so much better than I had before. And that's the power of small goals. You don't have to overhaul your whole life right now. You just start with one tiny thing that nudges you forward. Then you do it again tomorrow and the next day. Once something feels easy, you add another small habit on top of it. And over time, those small things compound into something big. The small things really do add up. And number 11 is to have a goal life versus a goal weight. So remember, I said this one just might be the most important one of all. And I think it's something that a lot of us don't think about because we're so focused on the number, on the scale. When I first started on this journey, I had no idea where a GLP-1 could take me. I knew that I needed to lose weight because I wanted to feel better. My feet hurt, my joints ached, my knees hurt. I couldn't go up the stairs. I couldn't bend down to tie my shoes. I was half an inch from needing a seatbelt extender on the airplane. So my very first goal was just to get under 200 pounds. I was 243 pounds at 5'4", which put me in the morbidly obese category. I thought getting under 200 pounds would be life-changing. And it was. I was able to move my body in ways that I could not do when I was 243 pounds. Once I got under 200 pounds, I started thinking, gosh, 160 would be amazing. 160 pounds was my pretty easy to maintain weight for most of my adult life. And I would look at pictures of when I was about that weight and I felt so good. So I thought that would be my new goal. Eventually, 145 pounds became my goal because that is the top end of a healthy weight for someone my height. Once I got there, I looked in the mirror and I still didn't quite like the way that I looked. I thought that somebody who was a healthy weight should look more slim and trim than I was looking. So I thought, you know what? I want to lose 10 more pounds and that would put me at my goal weight from Weight Watchers that I did 20 years ago. At this point, I was over a year into this journey and I had built habits that made my life at this point look completely different than what my life looked like at 243 pounds. And I just kept on living that life and doing those habits every single day. And eventually I focused more on just continuing to live the amazing life that I was living and just kind of let go of the weight because I knew that I didn't want my life to change. I wanted to keep living this life. And so my body had its own plan. I was eating well every day. I was prioritizing protein and increasing my movement throughout the day. I was strength training. I was doing cardio. I was drinking water and doing whatever I could to feel healthier, stronger, and better every single day. Over time, my weight kept going down and eventually it stabilized right around 118 pounds. If you would have asked me in August 2023, if I thought I could get down to 118 pounds, I would have laughed at you. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this was a weight that I would be able to maintain. I'm not trying to chase any number. I'm not trying to maintain my weight at 118 pounds. My goal is to just continue living this life that I have built. I want to continue feeling as amazing as I have felt over the past year and a half. I don't restrict myself from anything that would build me up and bring more joy into my life. I just focus on aligning the things in my life with my goal of feeling my very best. Every single day I ask myself, how can I be healthier? How can I be stronger? How can I make today better than yesterday? How can I be the happiest version of myself? And then I do the things. I continue to do those small things daily that brought me to this life that I have today and will help me continue to live this life for years and years. A goal weight is just an arbitrary finish line, but life on a GLP-1 doesn't stop at that number. It's something that continues forever. So we have to build a life we actually love living, one that we can maintain long after the thrill of the scale going down passes. Because the truth is, the habits that got you to that place on the scale are the same ones that help you stay there. When you focus on your goal life, how you eat, how you move, how you care for yourself, how you move through the world, your body will find its balance. So build a life that feels good to live every single day. If you do that, the results will follow. And they'll actually last. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that lasting weight loss isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about showing up for yourself every single day in all of these small but meaningful ways. These 11 rules are not a checklist. They're not something that you're going to follow once and forget. They're the foundation for a life that actually feels good to live. A life that supports your physical health, your mental health, and your happiness. Yes, this medication quiets the food noise, but it does so much more than that. It's like turning down the static so you can finally hear yourself think. And that's when real change can begin. The magic is in what you do with that clarity. The walks you take, the meals you prepare, the habits you're building, all these things that are shaping the life that you will live and love. So start small and pick one thing from today's video that you can focus on this week. Then add another. Then when that feels easy, add another one. And doing those small things will add up to the big changes that we're all looking for. If this video encouraged you, I would love for you to like it and subscribe to my channel for more motivation on your GLP-1 journey. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Let's get out there and change our lives.